Welcome to Bass You Live, everybody. I'm looking for the point.
Gotta be ready, Pete.
I didn't get my JHQ this morning. Glad to have you guys with us. We've been out for a couple of weeks. Been crazy, traveling all over, fishing Lake Champlain at the Toyota Series. Some very eventful scenarios went down there. We'll look forward to talking to you guys about that. And iCast just happened last week. I know it's all over social. All the new stuff, the latest and greatest. You've been on the road. We both been on the road for 2 straight weeks.
Yeah, we've been busy running and gunning. Like you mentioned, we were up at Champlain, had the whole crew up there. Champlain is Champlain. Yeah. It'll always be Champlain. That means it's great.
It was greater than usual.
Yeah.
Shout out to Connor Cahill with he's the only one to check in our house this week or that week. Did an amazing job. 19 pounds a day and didn't
more than 19 a day and
didn't make the final cut.
Yeah, almost didn't get a check with that. It was nuts. Big weights up there. Mm-hmm. Learned a lot about the lake. You know what I mean? It's fishing Toyota Series. It's an expensive lesson, but man, I mean, just the value in spending 5 days on a body of water, or the stuff you come away with. I mean. Learn a lot. Caught fish on new techniques for me anyway. So,
what was new to you?
Spy bait.
Oh, that's right.
Spy bait. Yeah. And hair jig. Spy bait and hair jig. This old Chesapeake Bay rat picked up some of that little light line finesse stuff, and got some really good confidence in some new stuff. So we'll see if we get back up there next year. We'll have a few extra tricks up the sleeves.
Well, I made the biggest tournament disaster, one of the biggest that can be made.
Oh, that's great.
Tried to weigh 6 fish in on day one in the tournament. Who else has done that? Have you guys ever done that? One of our guests today has, and I'm looking forward to that. But I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe I'm taking them out of the live well, and there's one too many in the bag. That's a 2-pound penalty. Cannot recover from that on any tournament, especially on Lake Champlain. But it was really interesting too, is we had 3 inches of rainfall on us the night during the tournament. So that was an interesting condition. It impacted me. It impacted the winner of the tournament too. So interesting stuff. We've got some really some A-listers with us today, guys. Two longtime Bass University instructors and superstars in the sport of fishing. John Cruz is going to be here with us. Obviously, the man from Missile Baits, multiple tournament winner. I think he's at 13 classics now. He's just really a force in the sport. We're going to be talking to him about the business side of fishing. We're going to be talking to him about the trends in soft plastics. I know it's all going to forward-facing sonar, or is it? Interested to talk to Johnny about that and his fishing, how he's able to balance pro fishing and the business side of things. Which anybody that's wanting to make their way in this sport, that's going to be a great topic. And so get your questions ready for Johnny Cruz. And the prodigy, Brandon Palaniuk, great angler, super tournament champ, is going to be with us. We're going to be diving in to Humminbird Lake Master. The new Lake Master mapping is phenomenal, and it really is something that you need to learn how to use effectively to be able to target and pattern fish whatever lake you're at. So the Lake Master stuff is next level. I'm looking forward to having Brandon on. And I don't know. Could I ask him about what it's like to weigh in 6 fish, Justin? What do you think?
Yeah, as he weighs,
I feel embarrassed, and I don't want to make. I don't want. I wonder if everybody that does it is embarrassed by it.
It just means you're geeked up on fishing, man. You're just ready to make that next cast. That's all. It slipped by you, Pete. Happens. He hasn't brought 6 to the scales, I don't think, but he's made a cast with 6 in his live well.
Multiple times.
So he might be a little bit more aware than you, Pete, but
so
that's all.
I am the absent-minded dean. Is that what you got?
Just trying to sneak one by. You need an extra
get a little extra weight. Yeah. I mean, Hey, 6s were going to weigh more than 5.
I needed 6 that day too.
Yeah,
we
all did.
That would have been helpful.
I needed to weigh in 8.
I think you need someone in your boat being like, Pete, you have 5. Pete, you have 4.
That's
Pete,
what
you have 3.
I need Jocelyn's voice. That's number 1, 2. And I'm interested to see if he's figured out a new system based on, his experiences to help him not make that error. Because
I had the opposite. My day 1 co, I started culling and he's like, don't you only have 4?
You did that?
No, I had 5. But
yeah,
my day 1 co said that. So
and
I'm like,
he stopped you.
I'm like, in my head, I know I have 5, but like now the doubt has entered.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to lay 6 smallmouth out on the floor. Like,
yeah,
thanks.
Yeah, that's cool that he caught you though.
No, I had 5.
Yeah. Oh, he thought you had 4.
Yeah, he made me feel like I was calling before I had a limit.
Yeah.
Messing with your head.
Well, I have done that. I have called in on my 5th fish out of the box.
I'm back down to 4.
I'm back down to 4. Oh crap! But Champlain's the kind of place you can recover. And I still don't know when it happened. I've thought about it a million times. Did I catch that 6 fish? Early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I think so. I think I had 6 all day. And thank goodness Vermont didn't stop me, because then I'd be in jail right now. As tough as they are on the rules and regulations.
Looks like we got Johnny.
Before we bring Johnny in, let's go over what our prizes are today.
All right,
we are having prizes by Crush City and VMC. So both are like and share, and our trivia question will have VMC products like crossover pliers, sinker stops, tungsten worm weights, and Nico skirts.
Good prize pack.
Those Nico
skirts. Good prize pack.
Great summertime prize pack.
Yeah, seriously.
Scenario.
A little flipping, do a little Nico wigging.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, good deal. Well, I can't wait to get this show started, and I see the man sitting over there in the waiting room. So let's bring him right in.
There he is.
This is a great friend of our show. We love this guy. He's a force in the industry, whether he's on the water or he's working at Missile Baits. Glad to have you with us, buddy. John Cruz, how you doing, man?
Good. What's happening, Pete?
Man, just getting my feet back on the ground after iCast. I imagine you are too. I know it's busy for us the week after iCast. I guess it's crazy for you too.
It is. Yeah. Yesterday we were. I was trying to get unburied, and our office manager, she was still out from a little family trip she had, and then we had a missile meeting this morning and got everybody on the same page. I had a dentist appointment already this morning. I had a part of my tooth fell off, so they just gave me a little temporary fix. Apparently, they said I get to have a crown, and I was like, "Sweet, does this make me a king, or is it like or what, how does this work?" So anyway, they told me I could have whatever kind of headwear I wanted.
King Cruz, the King Cruz missile.
Yeah,
that needs to be your next bait, whatever that is.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I vision it as like some kind of a creature bait with a lot going on, big profile in the water, the crown on top, maybe some like tentacles.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, it's not it's the next thing. It's not the dice, it's the crown.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
It's funny. We were throwing that dice around. Jake got himself a pack of those dice, and he was firing them around. But you heard me talk, and I think I mentioned it to you. I screwed up and weighed in 6 fish. Have you ever done that? Have you? Do you have a system? Am I just incompetent? Am I becoming a bumbling old Dean guy now that I can't count anymore? What's your situation?
I had a flawless system that worked great for over 20 years, and then last year at Lake Seminole, I got into an area and I was catching them almost every cast, and I was they were all kind of similar size, and I'm calling and catching, and then I catch a big one, which is like it was like a 5 something. It was almost 6. So I get that fish in the boat. I was like, yes, I'm like so pumped up. I'm like, this is the one I needed. I put it in the box and I put it on the one side, and I went and I was like, okay, there's 3 over there. And I put it in the box, and then I opened the other side, And I was like, wait a minute, there's also 3 over there. Like how did I do this?
So you had 7?
So I called Lisa, and she's like, yep, you got to call down to 5 and you get a 2-pound penalty, and that's the way it works. I was like, I just basically was calling to notify you that that's what I did. And she's like, yep, that's the rule. So I did it. And that was the way it was like, I went from like the best high to I can't believe I actually did that in competition. And that 2-pound penalty cost me probably the Bassmaster Classic last year. I can't definitively say, but it was I only missed the Classic by like 30 some 40 points or something like that, and that cost me at least, the way the standings were, it cost me at least 25 points. So
dang.
That's heartbreaking, man. Mine just cost me my ego and a little pride, But
it also cost me 10 grand because I would have been in the top 50, but I was not. So cost me 10 grand.
Well, what's your system that worked for 20 years?
I have 6 cull clips, and I always have one. Well, something happened, and I just didn't. I was culling, on both sides, because they were all about the same size, and somehow I clipped them all and didn't throw one back.
Wow, it's funny because I was talking with Ike about this was a year ago, and he's like, he has 6 clips just like you. That's his system.
Yep.
And I'm like, why in the world would you have that? I mean, because you're never going to clip your big fish, right? Because you just know, like, this has been my system. Is in my brain, I always was able to track exactly how many fish I have. I've never had an issue. So I never want to tag a fish unless I have to, just for the health nature of the fish. I don't want to tag them. And Mike said, like you said, he's like, I use 6 clips so that I know exactly how many fish I have at all times. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. So now I'm going to have 6 clips.
Yeah. I may throw, I don't know. I've tried, I've gone through 3 different systems since then. So I don't know what I'm going to settle with, but I promise you, before I close that live well, I count them every time now. Before I close, if I got 5 and if I cull, I promise you, I count the fish before I throw a fish back, just to make sure I know exactly how many I've got. I'm a little OCD on it now.
Well, I certainly was on day 2 of the tournament. I counted my fish 20 times that day, just to make sure. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
How it impacts you. But I used a different philosophy. I didn't realize this until because I didn't know I had 6, not like you, where you figured it out during the day. In my mind, I thought I had 5 all day. But I actually had 6 all day. So I got to the weigh-in, and I didn't know what to do. Right. So I bagged them up, that's when I figured it out. Right. When I put 6 in the bag, and I'm like, oh crap. I didn't even know. I didn't know what to do. So I figure I'm just going to bring them up. I'm going to let the tournament director tell me what to do, Yeah. And so I brought them up, went through the weigh-in line, and handed them over to the tournament director. And he's a little distracted, counting, putting my fish in the bag.
What did he say? Because normally they say 5 and 5,
that's what but
5 and 6 -1.
I had a deceased fish, and he was like kind of distracted with that, and I'm sitting there watching this go down, and I'm like, maybe he's not going to count them, and then I thought, well, maybe I miscounted. Maybe I actually only have 5. I don't remember now, So I thought, well, what if he put 6 in, and then I weighed them? Am I allowed to weigh those fish?
Yeah, that's a no.
That's a no.
I say yes.
No for me, dog.
No for me, dog.
Maybe I just miscounted, John. I got gray on my face now. I might have only had 5 and just couldn't remember. I don't know. Couldn't be sure. But
did anybody, while you were in the bag line, did anybody look at your bag, as you're moving it from tank to tank, and be like, dude, How many you got?
There's no. You look at a bag. I mean, they all look the same, right? They're all full of fish at Champlain, But it was funny that when the moment that I wished I had it on camera, the moment that it occurred to him, and he's looking. There's 3 on this side. There's 3 on that side. He looks at me, and he goes, "You brought in 6 fish," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm aware." And yeah, that's when they assess the 2-pound penalty, but. I like the 6 tag system. I'm gonna roll into that. And
I've had people suggest that I should have had a 5 tag system. That way, there's no possible way you could clip a 6th one and put it in the live well. And I do like that.
Is that what you're doing now?
I've rotated between that and then just complete paranoia that I have more than 5.
Yeah. What about the scale guys? Like, do you scale them and weigh each one and let the scale calculate the weight? Guys have said if you use the scale, you'll never have this problem.
Well, I think it depends on how you're catching them, because if you're catching them in a schooling situation, there's a chance you need to catch them as quick as possible, or or like a blueback heron kind of bite. You ain't got time to stand there and weigh the fish, or if you're fishing where it's kind of choppy and the boat's bouncing. You don't have time to sit there and weigh them because you can't hardly get a good weight. I don't care what kind of gyro for arms that you have. You just can't get a good weight on them. So you're going to waste 2 to 3 extra minutes on top of maybe having to fizz those fish and all that. It just depends on the situation. If I'm in calm water and the fish looks semi-cooperative, I might go ahead and tag a weight on it real quick. But it just depends on the situation for me.
I agree, because I watch the guys that scale every fish, and my little mantra I have is the best time to catch a fish is immediately after you've just caught one. And if you're wasting 2 to 5 minutes scaling a fish, the school is becoming inactive, and you're missing opportunities by doing that.
Possibly, or you lose them. I mean, if you see a wad. Let's say if you're scoping and you see a wad of like 5 or 6 and you get lucky and you catch one of them, a lot of like smallmouth, those fish might follow you and just be sitting right up under your boat, waiting for you to drop anything in the water as soon as possible. And you're up there jacking around. You're like, oh, 4.21. That's a really nice. Get out of here with that.
Yep.
Put a bait in the water, man. Let's go. Let's go.
Love that.
I scream at my TV all the time. What are you guys doing? Get your bait back in the water.
I may or may not
out loud.
Write it down. Call your mom.
Yeah. Do a celebration dance. Hug the camera guy. Show it up to the fans out there in the observer boats.
Count the scales.
I'm like, man, oh man. But they're not the guys bringing in 6 fish, so maybe I should just shut up.
I'm with you,
God.
Love it. But hey, man, well, we just got back from iCast. You guys had a booth, a nice booth down there with missile baits. What's your take? What's the status of soft plastics in the world of fishing? What's new, and what were some of the trends that you saw?
The general consensus of the show was positive. I feel like there's a lot of negative connotations going on within the industry. A lot of it has to do with forward facing. If you don't have products that are conducive to forward facing sonar, that's not the hot new thing right now. So the soft plastic companies are good. The companies that have good terminal tackle are doing good. Rods are okay. Line is good, and hooks are good. So it just kind of depends on what category the majority of your products fall into, and what your new products were. Like if you looked at Strike King, the majority of their products were forward-facing sonar oriented. If you look at some of the other companies out there, Crush City as well, some of the other companies like that, they come out with a lot of products that were geared towards that, because they're having a lot of buyers. Bass Pro Shops and some of these companies are saying, if it's not forward facing sonar related, we're not buying it. We're not adding it. So that you have a little bit of that going on in the industry. And I don't know that it's going to make a big pendulum swing back anytime soon, unless all the tournament trails together just say, oh, we're banning it. But I just don't, that's not happening.
That's interesting. Bass Pros actually are, they're putting it out there like that. Are you seeing it with
they're not putting it on public. I just made it public, but I mean, they're not the only ones that are kind of going along that line. It has to be something kind of special in order for them to not pick it up if it's not a minnow or a jig head.
Right. Well, I saw that a lot. It was the forward-facing sonar show. Like all the baits, everything about it was going down that road, and a little tough to sell a crankbait right now.
Oh yeah, a lot of Strike King, they're just getting their rears handed to them because they have so many hard baits and crankbaits that are just not selling right now. We had a dealer tell us at I know I'm not going to say which one, but we had a dealer, just a regular independent dealer at iCast, tell us that their top selling crankbait SKU from the previous year. He's like, I'm not sure that I sold one of them this year, a Strike King bait. So he said that that was a big eye opener to him, is that he's got all this inventory, and 6 cents. A lot of these companies, Spro, same, but they have a lot of hard baits that are just not turning near the way that they were a few years ago.
Man, that's amazing.
I guess the one that comes to mind for me that feels like it should be kind of protected with all this would be the jerk bait. With forward facing sonar, jerk bait definitely still has a place,
Yeah, jerk baits they're still moving some, but they're not to the tune that they were beforehand, just because the jig head minnows taken. If you get jump on Tackle Warehouse, Tackle Direct, wherever, look through their jig heads, their swim bait heads and their round ball heads. Man, there's a million of them now. It's kind of crazy.
How is the jig world holding up? Because I know you're involved in that. Are you seeing flat sales there, or are they doing nicely for you?
The skirted jigs have tapered off just a little bit, but not like hard baits.
Yep.
Well, you got guys like Tyler Williams and Kyle Patrick, and a lot of guys are using the jig with forward
and
bait.
I thank them every day for that. and so does Mike.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that was fascinating, because we interviewed all those guys last year on the show as they were winning and targeting structure with forward facing. They just weren't hunting down blobs out in the middle of the abyss. They actually had
What's up, Derek?
What's that?
I said what's up, Derek? He commented down there.
Okay. Yeah, they actually had a strategy about the habitat that they were fishing. So we love that,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm all into that.
So what's new with Missile this year? What did you launch at iCast, and what's hot?
Well, we launched a little micro D-bomb. You can see that cute little bugger right there.
I saw that guy.
That is going to get a workout up north for some smallmouth on the end of my drop shot. I can tell you that right now. And then kind of going along with that, Gamakatsu came out with a stinger, their stinger hook, but it has a welded on keeper so that you can thread little baits like this on there and, have the hook coming out towards the rear of it. Like a lot of guys have been doing that. Ed Lochran really is the first one I saw doing that with the stinger hook, that Gamakatsu stinger. And it's kind of a standard for drop shotting and Neko rigging and stuff like that. But that was a really cool thing. It's kind of a simple thing and just like an add-on to an existing product, but that's the first production one that I have seen. So I'll be giving those bad boys a workout here in a couple weeks. And then we also came out with a 3-inch spunk shad. Oh no, I took it off. I had it on my desk right here. We had a 3-inch spunk shad. We added to that. That's a little smaller version. Be good for the smaller jig head minnow stuff, drop shots as well, and the small little tiny chatterbaits. You need a little trailer for it. You can use that bad boy. So that was mostly what we we had the hover missile that came out earlier in the year, and then the monster jig came out right at the beginning of the year. So those were the ones we were showing a lot of people, and a lot of people hadn't seen the monster jig until they got to see it in person at iCast. So we had a number of muskie people be all over this thing, and then there's some big bass people, be like, okay, once I saw it, now it makes more sense, and they ordered some, so it was good.
Catch a damn shark on that thing.
I know. That's
fired up. Johnny Valdez is catching those big 9-foot sharks down in or just took the show a totally different direction. My bad.
Yeah.
You
don't need a leader on it if you're fishing for shark, because if you break them off, you should probably just buy another one. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they'll eat through a few of them. Well, John, you've done amazing work at Missile, and you've been an amazing pro, and you've done it for years, and that's kind of one of the angles we wanted to take with you today is how you pulling that off, man. That's how you balancing pro fishing with your business and family life. That's a lot, and you've done it well.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It goes back to, when I was in high school, I felt like the times that I did best in school were during the sports seasons when you didn't have a lot of spare time. So for me, it's like I have to put a certain amount of stuff on my plate so that I can stay productive. But the other part of that is two parts: time management, and then making sure you set your priorities in life, because you can end up wasting a lot of times on things that are not productive for you to better yourself or better your family. So, family is a big priority for me, and then the fishing and then the missile baits, they kind of go hand in hand, but they're definitely two different entities that require a lot of time. So just making sure I have the time in it. Like, I love to play poker. I played a little bit of poker last week when we were at iCast on a couple of the evenings at our condo, and I love doing that, but I do not play, period, outside of events where I'm kind of held captive, so to speak, and socializing with people. But I might do that once every couple of years. So that's just, I don't golf. I love playing golf, but I've played once in the last 5 or 6 years, just because it's not fishing, it's not practicing my craft, and it's not, with my family or running my business.
Wow. Well, what is, I know we were talking about that, Rich. You were interested in how do you break your schedule down? Like, what's that look like? Are you practicing a lot? Do you pre-fish a lot? What's that look like for you?
No, I don't do any pre-fishing ahead of time. I haven't done any, I take that back. I spent about a day and a half on the St. John's this year, but I was already in Florida for another event, so I just kind of swung over there and looked at some different parts of that river that I had never seen before, just to try to expand and not waste a practice day doing that. Outside of that, I haven't really done any pre-fishing. Don't do too much of that. The one thing that I do like to do is that, like, I'll come home just like I did from iCast, and if I don't have a reason or don't make myself go, I will not fish until practice for the Champlain tournament, which is not good. I need to be a little more on the water. So between now and then, I'll make myself get out there on the water for a day and just kind of get my bearings on the boat and make sure all my scope and everything.
Oh no.
Yes, just to get everything right. I'll have another whole day of just prep and tackle outside of the probably day and a half to 2 days of boat and truck and tackle prep that I'll do before I leave.
So that's wow. Well, you're a veteran. You've been down this road, and you have a system that really kind of works well for you. So I would imagine that all that time, you're working on, you're in the shop working on Missile, I guess, on those moments when you're not fishing. Is that true? What's that daily schedule look like for you?
Yeah, I'm in the office every day, basically, every Monday through Friday, and then a lot of times on the weekends I'll come in and work on my fishing stuff, on my tackle, just because it's hard, when you got all the Missile stuff going on, to like spend the time in 2 different places. It just doesn't work very well. But like this morning, like I said, I was on the phone with Byron, our director of sales, and And then he jumped on the call when we had our meeting, and just going through a list of things to do for this week. I got that written out. I've got my calendar here. Got reports to do. I've got bills to pay. I got to try to work on getting my new boat order in for next year this week. I'm just looking at my calendar right now. I've got a couple of calls scheduled for later in the week. And then Friday, I'm going to drive my daughter up to the University of Pittsburgh. She wants to take another look at that. She'll be a senior this year in high school, my older daughter, and she's interested to go to Pitt, and she's interested in a few other schools, but that's one she wants to go take another look at.
Wow, that's
nice.
Yeah, that's a tough split, and it's amazing that you're able to pull it off, because there's guys like, I know JT Tompkins famously fishing 320 days a year, trying to be competitive out there, so I guess a lot of that is it's all experience, right? You've got a tremendous amount of experience, and you're leveraging that to be successful out there.
Well, I mean, to me, when I was in my early 20s, I was on the road a bunch, and I was on the water probably 200 plus days a year as well. But I didn't understand why I was like golfers, like, how come the Tiger Woods and some of these guys, like, they don't play in every single, because if Tiger Woods played in every golf tournament, I thought he's just going to win every tournament. Like, why is he not playing in every tournament? Now, as I've gotten older, I understand you can't stay on focused and at your peak for 52 weeks a year. So as JT gets older, he's not going to spend 300 days on the water. I bet you in a couple years, he dials it back to 200. A couple years after that, he's dialing it back to 180. And then probably in 10 years, I'll bet you he's not spending more than 150 days on the water at absolute most. Like, over time, that will dial back so that you can stay focused and stay excited and all that when you do get out there. I've always said, when I never wanted to drop the trolling motor first thing in the morning at a tournament or practice day or whatever, and say, God, I got to do this again. And I think you see some of that disgruntledness come in a lot of veteran anglers that don't properly take time away and try to balance their life with something else. So I've been conscious of that for a long time.
That's interesting. I feel that, like, you get overexposed to it. You're
right.
You just like you just don't want to make that guy, like you said, you don't want to put that trolling motor down. That's you're never going to win when you feel like that.
Yeah, I mean, this last fall, I went for like two months without going fishing.
Yeah,
it was kind of weird, but I can tell you, it's not. But I wasn't talking about it. I was thinking about it, but I didn't actually physically go. And then when I went, man, I was just jonesing to put the damn whack on one of them. So you still got your juices going and wanting to be out there.
I got to say, I do a lot of training trips with Bass U on the water, and in the last 10 years, I've really been active. But in the last 2 years, in particular, the demands of Bass U have kept me in the office most days. So I'm like you. My schedule is pretty much 5 days a week most weeks, and it's the best thing in the world for fishing for me. Like, I can't wait to go. And my son is now into fishing too. To be honest with you, there were times where he didn't want to fish because he wanted to play video games, and I was kind of cool with that, because I'm like, Dad needs a break. I've been at it, 5 days a week this week. I want to take this Saturday off and sit in the air conditioner, and I felt differently about my fishing when I was so active at it.
Yep.
And now I'm in the office so much, can't wait to go. I can't, we've got a Thousand Islands tournament coming up. I'm super excited. I can't wait to put the trolling motor down. So yeah. I understand exactly what you're saying and how you feel about it.
That's it.
And I guess that's what the golfers, and the other thing is your peak performance has to be there, right? And you can exhaust yourself mentally and physically by fishing so aggressively, especially mentally, right? That mental, you got to be hungry. You got to be so hungry, and the rest is an important way to get there.
Yeah, but you have to be out there to stay active with it. And I thought it was very interesting. Bobby Bowden, the famous Florida State football coach, he's got the best bowl record of any coach, period. And they asked him, he wouldn't tell his secret until like years later. And they asked him, they said, well, what's your bowl secret, to do so well in all these bowl games? And he said, well, it's actually pretty simple. He said, early on in my career, when we made the first couple of bowls, I thought, man, we're going to practice every single day, all the way up to the bowl game. We're going to be so dialed in. We're going to be like a machine. And he said, they went out there and they sucked. He's like, well, damn. He goes, talking with his coaches, and he said, I think we practiced too much. And the coach is like, all right, well, let's dial it back. So they dialed it way back, because they knew that they practiced way too much. They heard it from players and everything. So they dialed it back too much. And they did a little better, but they didn't quite do as good. So they started adding more practice days, and then they started winning. And he said, once we started winning and doing well in our bowls, he said, we settled on a certain number of practices. I don't remember the exact number. It was like 12 practices. And they had, they could have practiced for like 20 some days, but they only practiced for 12 days. And he said that was the optimal number of practices for our team to be rested, prepared, and ready to play in that bowl game. He said, so a lot of schools practice too much, or they don't practice enough. He said they hadn't found out that magic number of practices that you need in order to do well in a bowl game. And I feel like that's fishing is the same way. You have to be on the water, but not on the water too much.
Right.
And you have to be productive when you're out there, because that, you just have to be able to utilize it properly. That's kind of the way I feel about it.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like there's definitely like an optimum number. Like I don't think ever in fishing it's a good thing for you to just be going through the motions, because like you're going to create bad habits. You're going to kill your confidence on things. Like if you're not 100% in, you can really kind of hurt yourself. And like growing up playing baseball, like I always got told by coaches, don't press, just play. Right. And like, I feel like you can do the same a lot in fishing. Like if you press too much and you're trying to force an issue, it just generally doesn't work. And like that magic kind of happens where like you find you're fishing and you just find the enjoyment of fishing, but you're fishing with enjoyment, intensity, a competitive nature to where you want to win. Like that's where it all comes together. And like I've noticed a lot, like with a lot of the guys on tour, and John, I know you hunt some too. There's a lot of guys that are big into bow hunting, and I think like they use that as kind of a reset period for some of their fish, and like it just turn things off for a little bit, and then when you come back to it and you make that first cast back on the water, you're, like you said, John, you're ready to jack them.
That's it.
Wow, that's interesting, because I'm practicing Jake for the national championship next week, and I've got a practice schedule for him every day, just like the coach you were talking about. Like I'm wanting him to fish every day leading up, and I'm like, maybe
not every day.
Yeah, maybe I need to back this off. Like I'm only putting him out for an hour, and we got a lot of ponds. I just want him to, stay in the mindset of fishing. But
maybe you guys should go do a day of go-karts or something instead, mixed in there.
Yep. Well, that's what we're going. Wrestling is actually going to get in the way, because he's got some dual meets coming up as we wrestle with our video issues here, John. But we've got some wrestling matches coming up this week, so that's going to, I think it'll be a really, really good distraction, and he'll battle that and get himself excited about, the fishing opportunity.
Yeah, you need to talk with Palaniuk about how to dominate in the wrestling as well.
I know it. He's got it. What's a 2-time state champ coming on?
Very accomplished.
Yeah, very, very much so. But as are you, man. And it was great hanging out buddy. I appreciate you taking some time and sharing a lot of this stuff with us. It's interesting, the balance that we talk about. And I just want to comment, like, it's different for everybody. I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Like every personality, and this is what the coaches are so good at on the various teams. So certain teams respond to the disciplinarian style coach.
Yeah.
Some respond to the communication and interaction, and you got to figure out how to get the most out of that particular team, and they're all individuals. And as fishermen, we do things a lot differently. I know traveling and rooming with Ike, you did too. You know how he attacks it and his strategy for practice and preparation. And I've found that I couldn't do it the way that Mike does it, and you can't do it the way that the next guy does it. You have to find the strategy and the system that works best for you. To get the max out of your body and your mind,
Absolutely.
And well, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. Good luck with with this year. We're going to be rooting for you going up there for the smallmouth, looking for the baby D-bomb on the drop shot.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to catch. Yeah, it's the micro D-bomb, and I'm going to try to catch my 5 as big as your 6 were, Pete. That's my goal. You didn't catch babies either. You didn't catch 6 babies. You caught 5 good fish.
Yeah. Well, it's I tell you, good luck trying to weigh them in, man. That's my advice. Don't call.
I'm only bringing in 5, but I want them to weigh what your 6 weigh. Yeah.
I understand. Okay. You got it. Bring them to the scale if you do make the mistake. That's my advice. All right. All right, brother, man. I'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Thank y'all.
You have a great day. John Cruz, everybody. Awesome stuff. John's been so successful, and certainly appreciate him hanging out with us, being one of our great Bass University instructors. You want to go check all of his stuff out on Bass TV. If you haven't subscribed, we have a really cool Bass University hoodie sun shirt for our subscribers, brand new. So go check that out.
City.
Get yourself signed up. What's that?
And Crush City.
And a bag of Crush City baits.
Cleanup crawl.
The cleanup crawl.
Pete's favorite.
We are
bait.
cleaning up with the cleanup crawl. I promise you, we're going to be bringing them to Tennessee. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be right back with the Prodigy.
Cleanup crawl, baby.
And
see that thing coming from a mile away. Chomp it.
Hey, bite that thing. So we'll be right back after this.
Welcome to Minnow King. How can I help you?
Everything looks good. I'm friggin' starving, man. Been spawning all morning.
Ugh, TMI, bro. What do you want?
I'll take a Crush City freeloader and gizzard shad.
Anything to drink.
Water.
Pull ahead, please. Welcome to Minnow King.
We're gonna have what he's had. Yeah, throw me in a Ned BLT, too.
Pull ahead, please.
Calm down. Quit feeding him so much.
Hey, man, I'm trying to, man.
If you overfeed him, he's gonna hide under a log.
Right here, AquaView, mandatory equipment in my boat. I say it all the time. The smallmouths hide in the cracks in the rocks, and just saw a little bit of the same kind of rock with the cracks in it, and I realized that I had to put a bait down there. You wouldn't, idle over them and see them on your screen. You had to put a bait down there and suck them out of the rock. So, AquaView, big assist on this one.
And outdoors Bassmaster Classic champion, Jeff.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina. From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming Series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
All right, welcome back to Bass U Live. We are in between segments here. Awesome talk we just had with John Cruz about balancing business and fishing. And the next guy we're going to have coming on here real soon is he's another one that has balanced the business and the fishing really well. Brandon Palaniuk, I don't know. I don't know how can you can be a part of the fishing industry and not seeing some of his content, not seeing some of his stuff on YouTube. But we're going to be talking with him very briefly as soon as we get our camera situation straightened out, which appears to be going through its paces. But while we wait for BP to jump on with us, we're going to
let's talk about Lake Champlain.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Lake Champlain a little bit.
How were you? What were your patterns at Lake Champlain?
Man, I had an area and I had a secondary pattern that I was combining with it, and neither one of them were the right pattern to be on. But yeah, I mean, I was you
were putting like 15 pounds of smallies in the boat like right now every day.
I was putting about 17.
Did I undercut that?
17 pounds. Yeah. You JH'd me on the weight.
Whoa, now.
I had a.
Well, you said 3-pounders, you know, but I get it.
I had a place that I could catch between 16.5 and 17 pounds in the first hour, both days of the tournament. But unfortunately, I didn't have the either the secondary pattern or the areas to call my way up to really the mark for this event was you had to be at 19 pounds.
And we
needed to be at 20.
Yeah, you needed to be at 20.
We were all talking about it because we were looking at historical data. And if you guys were following that tournament or any tournaments on Champlain, the previous tournament there was the Tackle Warehouse.
Yep, the Invitational.
The Invitational, which 17 pounds a day was the mark for, getting a check, making that check cut. So we had talked about that as, that's our minimum, right? That we're shooting for 17 pounds.
And we all met that, we went into it saying 17, a little over 17 a day, and you should get paid, and but boy, were we were off a little bit.
It was unbelievable. And people have asked me this, and I've been considering it. Like, we had 3 inches of rain drop on the body of water the night before the tournament.
Yeah.
Do we think that affected the weights?
Right.
And I have to say yes.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt me because I wound up dealing with some muddy water, but it wound up it created current, it created rising water.
Sure.
And I benefited from that greatly on day 2.
Yeah.
After making some adjustments.
Yeah.
But that, like, the guy that won it, he won it on
he excluded it. Yeah.
And coming out of Mountains Bay,
made the right adjustments. Yeah.
He made the adjustments. He used and he used the A-rig and his in conjunction with his forward facing,
right?
A Demiki and an A-rig, which was A-rigs are allowed in MLF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he smartly used that to get the W.
Yep.
Drew Gill.
Yep.
Drew Gill took second place, and our own baby Beetle, Ranger Beetle, aka JH, was drew out with Drew Gill and got to fish with him on day 1, and it was eye-opening.
Yeah, it was pretty cool experience fishing with Drew. He let me catch a couple, so that was cool. I did a lot of netting with a net that snapped in half on the first fish of the day.
Nice.
So a lot of time spent on the front deck of his boat on my belly.
On your belly,
net and smallmouth with a broken net.
The net broke right above the handle. And, you know,
gotta
do what you gotta do for the boy.
Rods.
Yeah.
And you know, not much on my Champlain recap besides I didn't catch a limit both days, which is pretty embarrassing.
Come on.
I'm a terrible producer because the camera keeps going out.
And we also have our guest. He's ready.
We got ready. So who cares about my story?
I want to carry.
Let's come back to the Champlain.
We'll come back
after we, let Brandon's got to, we got him here. So
yeah, we'll come back to that. Right now, we got a good friend of ours, Bassu instructor since forever, and it's a prodigy, Brandon Palaniuk. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Man, we're back home from iCast, trying to play catch up and take care of business. And it's the first time we've been back in the studio for a couple of weeks, so we're good to be back. But it was good to see you. Got to bump into you a little bit face to face down there at iCast. Haven't seen you face to face for a while, so it was good to see you and catch up.
Yeah, it was quick encounters, as most are at iCast. It seems like everybody's going opposite directions. You bump into somebody, it's like chat a little bit, and then you keep going the other way.
Keep going. And the new faces. I mean, did you notice that? Like, I mean, it's great seeing, all of us and, that we've known for a long time. But boy, I noticed that there's just a lot of new faces, not a lot of new personnel, a lot of, the changing of the guard seems to be happening at iCast.
Yeah. I mean, that's a natural progression, right? I mean, when you've been doing it as long as we have, eventually at some point, there's going to be a lot of new faces that come in, right? This is my 14th year. And that's I've joked about that with some people at iCast, where I'm in this weird in-between thing where I'm not really old enough to be a legend, like by years, but I've been doing it long enough that I've been like way longer than a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like
seriously,
guys grew up watching me on the elites, even though I'm not a whole lot older than them. And so it's funny to see that change. And then you've got a lot of like company changes as well, right? A lot of buyouts and things like that happening. And so you get new personnel in within those companies and things like that. So you do see the difference, in some of that at iCast, where you just, and that's going to happen forever. Like it's been happening, 14 years ago, I was one of those new faces at iCast.
I remember. I mean, I look at you and I still see, the young gun that's just out tearing it up, and
sleeping in the truck.
Yeah, just getting after
little baby could barely grow any facial hair. I was like, I have to shave every 2 days.
Well, now you have reached legend status now, so you have accomplished that, and that's pretty good stuff. What'd you see down at iCast? It looked like it was a forward-facing show overall. Are there some highlights for you of things you saw?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of free time to just walk around and look at stuff. So I was pretty busy just going from sponsor booth to booth to booth to booth. So I didn't get to walk and like see all of the other things, but I've seen the videos and some of the photos and stuff of different baits coming out, which some of them have already been kind of released and teased throughout the year because some of the elite guys or the MLF guys have caught fish on those baits throughout the year, and they kind of came out. So there wasn't a lot that surprised me, I guess. A lot of the same stuff. Definitely forward-facing sonar heavy as far as bait design goes, which is to be expected. I mean, that's like the biggest draw in our sport right now, or like it's had the biggest impact. And so, of course, anglers and companies alike are going to want to create baits that are going to make you more effective in that. And as fish start to get used to it and they see it more and more and they start to adapt, then you start to have to come up with new presentations and techniques and things like that, just like everything else, right? Even though their brain is much smaller than us, they consistently outsmart us. And so you have to continually kind of innovate and come up with new techniques and things. From my sponsor wise, like I only saw, like one really cool thing from BKK. There was like a tackle management system thing that they launched at iCast, which is pretty cool. But a lot of stuff, even line wise, right? Like you see a lot of the companies bringing in Japanese lines, smaller diameters and thinner braids and things like that to, follow that forward facing sonar part, right? It's rods, reels, baits, lines. Like it's not just one category. It's kind of everything.
It is. It's across the board. I joined an exclusive club at the last tournament at Champlain, and I talked to you about it a little bit. I think on next iCast, we have to, all of us that are in this stupid 6-fish club, we need to come out with a product, a foolproof system of tags and something. I don't know what it is yet, so that we don't bring 6 fish to the scales.
There's like coin counters when you put a coin in,
and
it counts for you. You need like a fish counter that says like, stop, you're at 5.
We do. Maybe AI.
I have a pretty good system now.
You do? I cannot wait to hear your system. What's your system?
I do. So I've got the DD26 Coal ID tags. They just go on the fin of the fish on the back, so you don't even put anything in their mouth. And then I've got the Bubba Pro scale, and you could do this with any scale or coal tags, right? But it's like I have to weigh them, right? If I don't weigh them, that's when I get in trouble. But if I weigh them and I mark them, I know that when I'm out of 5 coal tags, there's 5 fish in my live well, right? And so I go to weigh the next one. It shows 5 weights, 5 separate weights on my scale, and I have to cull one. So I weigh it. If it culls out, I select it. I go back there. I grab the other one. I throw it out, put the tag on, and put it in the box. And that's saved me from doing that more times than I probably would have. And I've done it a lot. Trust me. And I've done it a lot less in the latter part of my career than I did early on.
How many times have you done it?
3.
I was going to say, I think it's 3.
I've had 6 fish 3 times. I've won twice, and I think I finished 4th or 5th the other time. So
you actually won. You did it and still won.
Twice.
Yeah.
At the St. Lawrence River, I won. And on Santee Cooper, I did it day 1, and I won there. And then I did it at Toledo Bend. Let's see, what year? 2017, the year I won AOY. So I did it there, and I finished, I think, 4th or 5th. But when I looked at it, it wouldn't have mattered. The gap between me and the place above me was more than 2 pounds. So even if I wouldn't have done it, I would have finished in the exact same place. So to this day, it hasn't cost me. Now, here's the funny part. Mississippi River, when I got DQ'd in 2013 because I culled on the wrong side of the state line. If I would have forgot to cull and accidentally brought 6 fish into the scales, I would have only got a 2-pound penalty, not gotten disqualified, and I still would have had a 4-pound lead.
Wow.
But then odds are I probably would have just culled the next day, right? And been in the same situation. But it's just funny that like one time that I did think I was doing the right thing and made sure I was culling and like straight as an arrow is the one time that I was apparently on the wrong side of the state line and got DQ'd.
Oh man. Has the penalty been the same for all the infractions? Did they alter the penalty?
It's been the same since I started.
Okay. So I thought it was like, it used to be like you had to let your big fish go.
Yeah, it was something crazy. It was like they culled out for you. It was like you had to throw your biggest fish back or something. Yep. Plus you got a penalty. Oof. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that like where the penalties didn't fit the crime for a long time that have kind of worked their way out.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think so. What's the lesson here? Doesn't matter. 6 fish. You're still going to win the tournament. If you're going to win, you're going to win. Who cares? Why are we sweating this thing all the time?
Yeah. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. My 6 fish didn't cost me like maybe 15 points. Is all it really cost me. I wasn't in a situation to win, so it really didn't have that big impact, Rich.
Yeah, but I mean, I had a dead one both days, and I was freaking out because everything was so tight. Like the places were so stacked on weights. I was like, dead fish, this is going to cost me 20 spots. Like, it's,
well,
and you're like 2 pounds.
Yeah, whatever. 2x. Who needs that 2 pounds? Like we talked about this before. Right? Like Ike and I have talked about it a lot. Like when you're going to win, it's like a freight train. You can't stop it. You can screw up and have 6 fish and still win. You can
badminton,
you lose
5-pounders
fish, you
with a
break
net.
fish off, and people always think it's perfect, has to go perfect in order to win. But I've never found that, and it sounds like you've had that same experience.
Yeah, it usually is not perfect. It feels like it, right? Because everything just continues to go the right way. And in that moment, it feels like you just lost the tournament, but then somehow like managed to come out of it. And I think the reason it's worked out the way it has for me is because when I get in a position where I feel like I'm around the right fish to win, I'm catching them well, I get so excited that if I don't stay diligent on like that culling process, that's when I screw up. Right. And Santee, what really got me is where I thought I was going to catch them in the morning, I didn't. And then I made a change and started catching them really well. Caught a double, got 2 on 1 cast on a jerkbait. And that threw my whole process out. Right. Like I got way too amped up catching 5 and 6 pounders. Then I catch a double. And I don't know exactly where in that process I put an extra one in there, but somewhere I did. And that's what happens, right? It's because I get so excited and I'm on the fish to have a shot to win that's when it happens. And so then that's why I also think I've been able to win, is because I've been able to overcome that because I've been on the right quality of fish, and it's just been my time. But it's also cost some guys. I'm pretty sure it cost John Garrett a couple years ago at the Arkansas River, I believe. Cost him from making the Classic.
Whew. Yeah, that's rough.
So, don't do it.
I know. For me, it caught me because they were all the same size. Like they were just all 3 1/4s, 3 and 3 1/2s. They were just right there. I couldn't differentiate any of them. And, and it was fast, like it was Champlain at its best, where you're on a group of fish, they're coming in quick. You want to stay on them because you're always on a time window where that's going to close, right? They're not going to bite like that all day, so you got to attack when you can. And I was just getting them in the boat, trying to get rid of identical fish. I think it happened for me at like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and I did not realize it until I put them in the bag at the end of the day.
Yeah. So when I get in that situation where I feel like I need to just stand up and cast again, right? Whether it's on like a ledge bite or something like that, or smallmouth, and you get a school fired up and they're biting, I always grab the fish and put it in there and even if I don't put the cold tag on the fish, like I throw it in the live well so that I know, right, that there's 5 in there. So even if I skip the process of like weighing them, tagging them, and putting them in there just to speed it up a little bit, I'll still grab the cold tag, throw it in the live well. So that I'm like diligent on like, okay, I have no more. I don't have any more cold tags to throw in the live well. So there must be 5 in there, right? So if I catch another one and I go, like if I have one in my hand and I go to throw a cold tag in the live well and there's no more cold tags, I know I have to throw one back.
Yeah. Now see, I'm already getting anxious about this system because I'll go to, like, I want to use the Brandon Palaniuk system, and I go to my call tags and there's only 2 left, and I think there should be 3 there or whatever. And I'll start looking around the floor on where the other, did I drop one? Is there one that's not on a fish? You know, how do you keep your call tags? And my other question is, do they stay connected real well? I've never used that style. I've been seeing a lot of guys use that.
I'm looking
style
them up right now.
Yeah, how effective are they at staying on the fish?
So I've been keeping those just in a little box. The other ones I use Pro Size Outdoors Cold Keeper. So like the tags are on there, they're in my live well. So when I open up my live well, like I can see the tags. Right? And if there's no more on that rail, then there's 5 fish in my live well.
Yep.
But you have to be consistent with it, right? And if you're consistent with it, and at the end of the day, you put your cold tags back in the same place and you're ready to go the next day, then that consistency helps with it.
Right.
What I've learned with those cold tags, like those cold ID tags from DD26, the best place to put them that I found is like if you have, you know, their back fin, say their back fin is like this, and their tail is on this section, I clip it just like this. So almost parallel with their back onto that back fin. And that seems to hold the best. If you try to just go straight up and down, if they bounce around in the live well, it'll want to break off of there. But coming in from this back angle, it seems to hold really good.
Got to get some of those for the next event, because the smallmouth, God, they hate to have.
I think it makes a huge difference on smallmouth.
Yeah. But like I know a lot of guys say, like with the smallmouth, like they don't you know, putting any kind of tags on them at all. But like I don't know how they do that. Like when guys aren't using call tags and you have 5 smallmouth, are they like reading the lines to like tell which one? Because they're still weighing them, but like without call tags, I can't do it. Like I need to know with 100% absolute certainty what this fish weighs and what that fish weighs. Like, so the clips, they seem like a good move.
Well, it certainly takes it out of the fish's mouth, which is awesome.
Which they do not like that, especially the smallmouth.
You just let them breathe how they naturally would. Seems to work a lot better.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to do the 6 fish club culling system.
Yeah. It's going to be a breakfast
Brandon
at
Palaniuk, Pete Gluzak, and others.
Seminars on how to not get penalized.
Yep.
That'll be iCast. Look for that coming next year. We'll put our submittal in soon. But we wanted to talk to you about some stuff which is interesting to me, because I'm going to a lake that I have very little experience on with Jake. We're going down to Lake Chickamauga, and we're doing a lot of map study. And I just ordered the new Lake Master for the Southeast region, and I should be getting that tomorrow. I can't wait to plug it in and start my work down there in getting ready. But the innovations on the mapping continue to come. These systems are amazing, and I know I'm interested to talk to you about how you're using them.
Yeah, everyone wants to talk about like forward-facing sonar right now, and that technology and everything. And I still believe that mapping is the #1 technology, bump that we've had in the sport. Like GPS and the accuracy of things like Lake Master charts tells me so much more than any transducer will ever tell me. And I can narrow down a body of water very quickly if I just have a good understanding of seasonal movements and an understanding of what type of fishery it is, right? Whether it has grass or it's a highland reservoir, natural reservoir, things like that. That gives me such a good starting point that's the number one thing I do, right? That's the number one pillar of my process. And then the transducers come into play when I go to those places that I identify on my mapping, right? Whether it's points or humps or different contour lines, right? And now we have the technology on our phones, our iPads, right? Like I use all of it. If I have my phone available, sometimes I'll just be looking at maps on my phone. I've got my iPad right here. This morning I was drinking coffee and I was scrolling around looking at maps for Champlain, the St. Lawrence River, and like when I'm just drinking my coffee or something, I'll scroll around on there and look, and because you never know when you're going to see a contour or something that looks a little different, especially on those big bodies of water. Yeah. Where like, nah, that's kind of unique. It's something that's different, and I changed that. Hey, Kyle Patrick, I've been trying to work on that smoke alarm for like 3 days, and I don't know what's wrong with it. I put 4 different batteries in it. I don't know if you guys can see that. Kyle Patrick's telling me I better change the smoke alarm. I forgot it was even in this room. I guess I've just like toned it out after 3 days. They're hardwired in. I keep changing the batteries. I don't know why it keeps beeping on me.
That's awesome. I just
caught the wires.
I just hollered at the crew here via text. I'm like, can one of you guys get up and take the batteries out of our smoke alarm? Because I thought
it's mine. I totally forgot that it was in this room.
It's
right.
Now that's all anybody's going to hear. Thanks, Kyle.
Yep. Oh man, thanks, Kyle.
I got a question about like, so you've obviously been working with mapping for a really long time, and you've now on the Elite Series, you've been back to some of these same bodies of water over and over and over, but you're still diving in on mapping. Like, is that because the mapping is just getting better, or is that you are still looking for like the new juice, the new hump, the new break, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it's just, well, I mean, even if we go to the same bodies of water, we don't always go at the same time of year, right? So I may have to look at a different set of contour lines or a different depth or a different part of the lake based on the time of year that we're going there or the conditions that we're dealing with that, would require me to look at the body of water differently. And so I constantly am looking at the body of water differently, or maybe I learned something a little bit more where I'm like, oh, they use this type of contour lines, and for me, contour lines on a body of water, those are just their navigational highways. It's how they move in and out, to and from the spawn, to their summer haunts, their winter haunts, all those types of things. And it's no different than, like, I know how to drive from my house to Lake Champlain. It's only about 5 turns and 2,900 miles, but I still type it into my GPS every single time. Or like, I still use the mapping to get me there. And it's really no different on a body of water, right? Of using that to understand like where I want to spend my time, where I think the fish are spending their time, and how I'm going to approach that body of water. And then when you do figure, right, when you do start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, then it's just duplicating that, right? Using the mapping to then find places that look similar that you're able to duplicate, right? And you can do depth highlights. You can change it to, say you're at 20 to 22 foot. You can highlight that, and then all of a sudden it's like all this stuff just begins to pop. You're like, oh, right. Look at that little point and that turn, and like this fits and this fits and this fits, and then all of a sudden it just opens up this new world.
How much will you like limit yourself inside of a lake to like a certain area, like on Lake Champlain? You're not going to fish from you know, Miscoy to Ticonderoga. Like, will you set yourself in kind of like a section?
It depends on how well I understand the body of water, right? Or how much information is out there on a body of water. So places that have had a lot of tournament history and things like that, you can do the research ahead of time to look and understand and say, hey, the top 10 is always in this section of the lake. You know, why is there any reason for me to go look outside of that? Because certain bodies of water, there's parts of the lake that just consistently hold the population of bass, right? And sections of the lake that maybe just don't have the things that they need to live. And so if you can identify those places, there's no reason to go outside of those. If historically over the last 20 years, they've consistently been in these same areas of the lake, why leave those places, right? Then it's just a matter of figuring out where the biggest fish in that section of the lake are living, what they're doing, what they're wanting to live around, right? Grass lines, rock piles, things like that. And staying within that zone. Because I'm the type of guy that I like to get away from everybody and find different stuff. But what I've realized is that some lakes you just can't do that, right? Florida's really bad about that. Like there's just certain parts of the bodies of water, like Okeechobee or something, like where the grass is right, you know, the water clarity is right, and like that's where the 90% of the population of the bass are at this year. That's where they're living, and you need to be in that zone if you're going to put the odds in your favor.
Yeah, that's certainly true in Florida. Like you said, it's hard to get away from people down there. So you use the shading, use the coloration. Are there any other features that are useful to you in your map study?
Like on the VX premium cards, if we go to like a river system or a shallow body of water, I'll use the aerial imaging sometimes, just to be able to see like the backwaters and things like that. And the other place where it's really good is, and I don't think people realize this a lot, but if you're looking for like mats, you know, or like places to punch and frog and things like that, if you have aerial imaging on there that shows, right, like that image was from later in the summer or the fall or something, where it shows where those grass mats are, a lot of times that grass will grow in those same areas, right? It may change a little bit and the points and the turns may change, but that general area will have that similar type of grass. And I'll use the aerial imaging for that a lot of times, right? Even if it's in 10 or 12 foot of water, if you have matted out vegetation that you can see on that aerial imaging, that lets you know that there's vegetation in that area, right? And you can see where those areas are that have the right bottom hardness and stuff to grow that grass.
That's interesting. I'm going to be looking for some mats and some places where I'm going next week.
Yep. It's a good way to find grass in the spring too, right? Because those places that are matted out are generally the places that the grass starts to grow first. And so you can look at those and like, oh, there's a bunch of matted up grass here. Well, you go there in February or March and it may be 2-3 inches tall, but that's the first green, healthy grass that's starting to grow in a body of water for whatever reason.
The aerial imaging on VFX, do you know what year it is, or
I don't think they're all exactly the same.
Yeah.
I think they're different based on different bodies of water.
Yep.
I've never asked to know for sure if that's how they do it, but it just seems like they're at different times of the year, kind of depending on the body of water.
This is a question that I wrestle with, and I'm wondering how you do it. My trail plot and my waypoint management and visuals. Like how are you using those features to declutter in some situations when you want to, or deal with the different color palettes? How are you handling that?
So years and years ago, I took about a week straight and I went through all my waypoints and I separated everything lake by lake. So now on my computer, like I have one laptop that is only for waypoint management. It's all I use it for. And now I just, like, say we're going to Champlain. Well, I'll only load my Lake Champlain waypoints in there. And that's all I have. And when I load them in there, they all show up as whatever the default color is. Humminbird starts out as yellow. You can change the default color if you want, but I just leave it at yellow. And then I have quick mark settings, right? So say we'll use Champlain as an example. We're going there. I may have a fish icon. I may have a grass icon, a rock, like a hard spot icon. Like, depending on the body of water I go to and things that I'm going to look for, I'll set those quick mark settings, those favorite settings, to the 5 icons that I think I'm going to use the most. And then I have colors along with that, right? So it'll be yellow, red, green, blue, and purple. And I use those colors to identify the size of the fish. So say it's a bed fishing tournament, right? I use the icon that's the fish that's kind of pointed down, right? So it looks like it's kind of looking down at a bed. So if I see a spawning fish, like, I'll mark it with that symbol. And then based on the size of that fish, I will mark it with a specific color. So like red is smaller, and then green, and then it goes blue, and then purple are the biggest ones. And I'll do that for anything, right? If I'm fishing brush piles, like, if this brush pile I feel like has the biggest ones in it that I found, like it's got 5 and 6 pounders, it gets a purple color, right? It's still going to be the brush pile icon, but it's going to be purple. And what that does is that helps me. So like, we go to a body of water over and over again, right? Same body of water. Well, I can have that piece of structure, say it's a rock pile. Well, when I import it back in the next year, it goes back to yellow, right? And so everything kind of starts fresh. I have the waypoint, but I don't know which ones are going to have fish on them or what size they're going to be. And so when I check a rock pile that I already had marked from the year before, and I go there, I'm like, oh, there's 3 and 4 pounders on this. Like, boop, change it to blue. And then if I have 1,000 waypoints on a body of water, I can differentiate the ones that have colors, right? If I get a bite on one, it goes to red. So like, I can see the red versus the yellow and so on and so forth. So I can see, you start to put together like, oh, all the ones toward the mouths of the creeks are the colored ones, right? Like, that's where the population of fish is, or things like that. So it kind of helps you to put a pattern together, and it helps you kind of separate all of those waypoints when you get a lot of waypoints on a body of water.
That's it. That's really cool use. And you can see at a glance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
color. I mean, it's like a visual learner type of thing. Like, you see colors good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, say you're, spawn is like where you really notice it. Where it works all the time, but like, spawn is where you can say, like, I have 15 pounds. I'm not going to go run and stop on a bunch more 3 pounders, right? Well, like ones that I think are 3 pounders, but I'm like, I've got a 1 pounder in the box. Yeah, I'll stop up. I'll be like, hey, there's a 3 pounder on my way. Stop there, catch it maybe. But it helps you manage those fish a lot better. Like, I'm not going to go there. Maybe you check a place and it didn't have, any fish on it, but then all of a sudden it does. You can just change the color. You don't have to actually change the icon or something like that.
Right. Well, I could see it too. Like, we just got back from Champlain, and the difference between 3.5 and 3 3/4 pound fish was dramatic.
Big difference.
and 3 and 4 pounders were dramatic, even more dramatic and necessary to be competitive, and to be able to have that at a glance. And maybe like I noticed this when I put waypoints down, and then I'm studying them after the day's fishing.
Yeah.
You know, with your color deal, you can look, say, holy crap, all the 4 pounders are on the south shore of wherever, you know, like you can visually really see that. Wait a minute, I need to change my thinking. This is the area that has better than average size fish,
right?
You know, and that
yeah, exactly.
Just with the color.
Yeah, it just gives you one more level to kind of start to put that pattern together. And as an event goes on, you start to focus in on those certain ones more and more, right? It's like if you have a shot to win, you're like, I'm not going to waste my time on the reds and greens. Like I only want blues and purples. Like in 22 when I won AOI, Brian Evie, one of the camera guys at Bass, he rode with me 18 days. And at one stretch, I think we did 8 or 9 days in a row between Lake Fork and Pickwick. And he had spent so many days in the boat with me, right, that he had caught on to that. So we would roll up to a place and he would see it and be like, oh yeah, purple icon.
Yeah,
he knew like this
awesome.
is like the juice spot. And so it's pretty funny just to see, like, as he caught on to that, he'd be like, okay, here we go. Like we're rolling up to a good spot.
That's cool. That's cool. Brandon said a mouthful at the beginning of this talk about that. Even with forward-facing sonar and all the amazing technology that's there, mapping and understanding waypoints and what they can do for you, I agree. I think it trumps everything. There's a kid in my neighborhood is kind of building out a little 14-foot aluminum John boat right now, and he fishes the bay. He's getting into fishing the bay. And I told him, I said, man, I don't care what unit you put on it. Just make sure it has GPS and it has, and you can drop waypoints, because to learn as a 14-year-old fisherman, that's going to help him way more than, everything else. You can formulate things, and like everybody has a system. Like Brandon just shared with his system of coloration and management, and other guys I'm sure have different variations of that, but like having your own system and understanding what works for you, it just it allows you to just process through years of information at really lightning speed. And
that's what you need.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, seriously.
That's what you need. I need to do that, and I would take your advice and separate the lakes and try to simplify. I have talked to some who are some of the guys that they purposefully erase the waypoints every year.
Yeah, JT Kenny famously said that in one of our seminars, grass fishing. He'll drop pins on every single place he catches a fish and then put one right in the middle and delete the rest. That makes my eyebrows twitch just hearing that. But hey, if it works for him, it works for him. And like, here's just like a little Humminbird thing to throw out there. And Brandon mentioned it, the way that you can, use these icons, even all the way down to the helix unit, the baseline helix unit, you can set default icons. So for like last week at Champlain, there was certain times of the day where my default icon at the console was a rock icon, or it was a grass icon, depending on what I was looking for. And then up front, the default icon is generally a fish, right? And for every year, that color of the fish changes. So in 2019, all my fish waypoints on the bay were blue with a fish. Last year, they were a red cross with a fish. Like, there's all these different ways that if you just dive in there a little bit, you can do cool stuff with it. So it's a fun conversation.
I know. I like your system. And my system is, I have one, like green is grass, red is rock, purple is wood. Those are the 3 staples that I've used throughout my, use with Humminbird. And blue for me is fish. Like if I've caught one there, like if it's a green mark, it's denoting a grass bed, but I've not caught any fish there. If I put a blue dot next to it, then I've got good habitat and it's got I'm catching fish there.
Yeah, so you're using colors more to identify the type of structure.
Yes.
You know, like it might just be the round circle or just the flag, but you're using the color to identify it rather than an icon.
Yes, because I can't see anymore. So, so the color jumps out at me a lot better, you know. So it definitely helps me. But what I'm going to try to alter my shades of blue or use the icon in some capacity, because I like that strategy of size of fish as an additional piece of information. You know, I mean, it's in my brain, but clearly I can't count to 5 anymore. So that's probably not as good as it used to be either. So, but yeah, I'm going to try to use the shading and the icons to differentiate the size of the fish that I'm catching. I love that strategy.
Yeah, it's helped me for when we go to places that we've been to a lot. And like, I couldn't imagine deleting all my waypoints. No, I've accidentally done that.
You've accidentally done that?
Yeah. So in Humminbird PC, before I figured this out, I thought when you deleted them, it just like deleted that folder, or like it would just delete them out of like that downloaded folder. Even if I'd already so I'd like save them on my computer, then I would push delete to delete that file, thinking that they would still be saved in the folder that I put them in. But when you delete them, like when I delete that, it deletes every instance of that waypoint. So it doesn't matter where you have it saved. Somehow it deletes all of them. And I had done that on several lakes in the past. And then one thing to note for people that do have Humminbird, Solix and Apex will save on every unit. So if you're running a combination of Solix Apex or just Solix or just Apex, that operating system saves on every unit. So you only have to export off of one unit to get all of the waypoints. But if you run Helix, it will share to the other units. But if you mark it on unit A, it will show up on unit B. But if you only export from unit B, you will not have any of those waypoints if you're running a Helix system. So if you have Helix, you need to make sure to export off of every unit to get those waypoints. Right? So that's something to be cautious of.
I think we enter into a conversation like similar to this, like, I don't know, probably like 3 or 4 times a year. We'll get into like one of these. I'm a waypoint nerd. This is where I get all weird about fishing and stuff. But like after every time we have this conversation, the next day I go home and resave all my waypoints on another card, like another form of backup. Cause like, that's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
It's like,
paranoia.
that's like, that
Zip
is my
file.
Yeah.
Zip file and email it to yourself.
Yeah, well, I have them on I have them on cards that are in a Tupperware container, but I mean,
what if you lose the Tupperware container?
Right.
Oh
That's
my God,
Brandon. That's another reason.
Or it burns up in a fire. You save that to a zip file and you email it to yourself so that if everything you own burns, you buy another computer and you log into your email and you have that file.
Oh my gosh,
I'm gonna do
right.
that.
You're like, I've spent thousands and thousands of hours working to like find those waypoints and figure that stuff out. The last thing you want to do is just give it all away.
Yeah, I know. It's like I gotta know where I caught that 3-pounder in 2017. Like I gotta know.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the fish because they swim and move, but very rarely does a rock move.
Right.
I mean, if I've got a boulder, I may not catch another fish off of it, but I like to be able to roll up and be like, hey, there's the boulder, and make 3 or 4 casts. I'm like, oh, there's nothing on it this time, and then continue on, right? Like, I don't want to have to be like, I think it was around this contour and have to idle and try to find it again.
Well,
that is the worst. Like, and I'm guilty of it where like I'll get to fishing and like I won't mark the habitat that I caught them off of, and I'll come back and be like, it won't be that hard to find. And it's like every second that goes by that you're not making the cast, you're like, you know. So I'm an over waypointer. I have way too many waypoints, but
I have lost mine. I lost mine. I had the 15 years I spent out on tour are all gone. It's all gone.
Ooh.
It's you know, I can't remember exactly, but I mean, I had them backed up, and then the system that I had them all incorporated on went south. We didn't have the systems that we have now back then, and they were more rudimentary. But I lost everything, and you know, so I had to start over. But the one thing that I did learn from that process is, you remember, like. And they're easier to find the second time around. You know what I mean? Like if you have there's a brush pile, or there's a creek or grass point, and you know that you had a lot of success with especially with side imaging and 360 and Mega Live, you can just find it again. It doesn't take nearly as long. So, but
it does. It takes longer. Definitely does.
It doesn't take as long, but it takes longer than if you just had the waypoint.
Yeah, if it's marked, you got it.
Yep.
You got it, man. You got it.
Yep.
Well, grass is tricky because grass will change. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Different types of grass will grow. And,
yeah. Grass will change. Sandbars will shift. Stuff like that. But like, you know.
We're
doesn't
also,
change so rapidly.
We're also messed up right now. I know what's going to happen. Everybody listening's they're now buying separate drives so that they can download onto that and then put it in a safe. We're going
zip file, email it to yourself.
We're all going to be emailing stuff to ourselves. We're all going to be going crazy trying to save these waypoints. But great advice, man. And you've got a couple big tournaments left this year, man. You've done well there before. What do you think of this Thousand Islands one coming up? I know you guys are going out of Waddington. That's a long boat drive, but I imagine everybody's going to the lake, don't you think?
Yeah, and I never thought I would say this because I love the lake so much, but I wish they would have made it river only. Going out of Waddington, because running to the lake was a lot cooler when nobody else was doing it. But like I talked about earlier, where I like to go do different things. When
now everybody
40 or 50 guys run out there, it's not the same feeling as it was when
you could like bear the boat ride going down there. Like you're like, I'm gonna have it to myself. Now
like I can literally go anywhere from Alexandria Bay to Niagara Falls. And not have to worry about seeing another bass boat on it. And that's just not the case anymore.
Yeah, now it's like the boat ride still sucks, but now there's going to be 40 guys with you.
So it's, I don't know. I kind of wish they would have just made it river only, but I mean, odds are like you'll probably see more checks get cashed out of the river now than you would have if it went out of Clayton. But it'll still get one out of the lake. Odds are, and there may be a couple guys that make the top 10 out of the river because that is a time of year where you can do it if you get around the right schools. But man, the fish are just bigger in the lake. It's never, anytime we've been able to go to the lake, it's never been one in the river. Right? It's always been one in the lake anytime we can go. So odds are, probably going to get one in the lake again. But you do cut a lot of time out, right? So like trying to break 100 pounds again, even though we're going at a really good time of year, a guy can be on the school of fish to break 100 pounds, but you just might not have enough time in your day to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's what's it going to be? An hour and 15 minutes probably to the mouth of the St. Lawrence?
Way more than that.
Is it really
90 miles? It's almost 90 miles.
Wow,
it's long.
Wow.
So that's just to get to the mouth, you're talking an hour and a half if it's glass calm.
Right.
If it blows against the current, it may take you 2.5 hours to get to the mouth of the river. I've done that before. It's not easy.
Yep.
You know, if it takes you 2.5 there, 2.5 back, you only got 3 hours to fish. That's not a lot of time.
No doubt. It's no time. We're going to be fishing a Toyota Series out of Messina, so we're locked in the river on our tournament. Are we before or after the Elites? I think we're after.
Yeah, I think we're the week after.
Week or two after you guys are up there. So we'll go check that out. And all I can say is Champlain, we were budgeting for 17 pounds a day to be the mark to hit, man. We were way off. Holy crap. It was 19 pounds was 45th place after day one of our tournament up there. You know,
so the more people that get the technology and the more people figure out what to do, the higher those weights get, right? The higher the cut weight gets. The winning weight doesn't really get any higher, you know, because it's like
you're locked. Yeah,
it's only capable. The body of water is only capable of so much,
right?
And those smallmouth have gotten bigger over time.
Seems like they have.
You know, so it continues to climb up a little bit more, but I think like forward-facing sonar doesn't adjust the top end weights as much as it does the cut weights.
Yeah,
that's where you see the biggest change. And so I fully expect that when we go there, you better be catching 19 pounds a day to have a shot, right? The crazy thing is that you could catch 19 a day and finish 40th, 45th, and then you catch just 1 pound more a day. You catch 20 pounds a day, and you might be in the top 10.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like you just need one more pound a day, and it can be worth a lot.
Yeah, try bringing 6 fish to the scales. It could
not a good idea in that type of 2 pounds is hard to come back from.
But imagine if you got through the weigh-in, you'd have like an extra 4 pounds.
That
would be awesome.
If only.
I can see it now, Pete. You and Mercer and Lisa Talmadge up there holding up 6 on stage.
That would be amazing. My son Jake is wrestling his first duels this summer, and you know we're excited about this upcoming fall. What's best advice? He's tackling his first competition since school, and excited about it. Give me one piece of wrestling advice for him to get after.
You can beat 75% of the guys at a similar skill level just by being in better shape than them. Like that's one thing I loved about wrestling is that I could put in the work and I could outwork guys and it would pay off and I would beat them. Or like I could outlast a guy for 6 minutes, or like in college it'd be 7 minutes, right? Like if I could hang through until the third period and I was in better shape, like I wasn't tired in the third period and I could wear that guy down, I could make up any deficit that I had. And I did that a lot, even against guys that were probably technically better than me. They had more skill set. If I was good enough to, be defensive and outlast those guys, they would start to make mistakes at the end of the second period, going into the third period, and you could capitalize on those mistakes. So him like putting in the work now to get in shape and be ready and be at his best by the time fall comes around, he'll be so much further ahead of the competition, right? And even going in, his first year going into it, just by being in better shape, like he'll win a lot more matches. And,
nice.
Then he can learn the skill sets and things like that. But if you have all the technique and stuff, but you don't have, the lung capacity or the heart capacity to last all 3 rounds, then it doesn't do any good.
Great advice. Jake, are you listening?
Start running.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is listening because he's a diehard fishing fan and a Brandon Palaniuk fan. So That's great advice coming from a 2-time state champ. Just amazing, and you transitioned that over into fishing nicely, and it's awesome, man. It's awesome to know you. It's awesome to have you part of the Bass U program, and we hope to get with you again soon, and we'll reach out and see what we can make happen. But best of luck the rest of this season, and man, thanks so much for being with us.
Yep, you're welcome. I appreciate you guys, and catch up with you guys soon.
Awesome, will do. Good. We'll do. Brandon Palaniuk, everybody. Thank you so much. And what great stuff about the use of mapping. The statement that he says is how mapping is probably the most important innovation beyond even forward-facing sonar.
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
and I think he's right.
Yeah, especially I feel like that statement can be varied a little bit from lake to lake and some seasonal dependent stuff, but the overwhelming majority is that's absolutely true. Understanding mapping, understanding how to effectively use waypoints is huge. And I said it while we were kind of in the conversation, everybody's got a little bit different of a system, but you have to have a system. You absolutely have to have a system to whether it's how you're using your mapping, how you're using your waypoints, the difference that it can make in your fishing. And this goes for, everybody out here that's watching that's not a pro. Neither am I in any way, shape, or form. I'm not a professional bass fisherman, but one of the things that I do feel like I'm pretty good at is understanding waypoints and how to effectively get everything out of an area before you think you've caught all the fish that are there, and using some sort of a waypoint system to break down a water, certain sections of water on a lake, certain sections of bank on a river. It just, when you lay all that stuff out and you have it in front of your eyes, all of a sudden something makes sense. You can see why your bites are coming when they come on a sweep of a sandbar and the way the current hits it. Bing, the light bulb can go off. And I've had guys in the boat with me over the last couple of years that's why they got on the boat with me, was to help them understand how to utilize their electronic systems. And they've continued to reach out and say, it helps so much, just the simple function of knowing to drop down waypoints where you catch fish makes a difference. And I love these conversations. It's probably one of my favorite talks that we get into on Bass U, is about mapping and waypoints and all that stuff.
I noticed it when this was a few years back for me, because I always would punch waypoints when I would catch a fish at a certain place, and then you don't think much of it. Where you're fishing, you may be miles offshore, but then when you really scrutinize it and you look at where those waypoints are laid out, things become apparent. Like you just said, it could be a edge of a sandbar. All the bites are coming on a similar turn. It could be, a rock out. Maybe they're all the tips of the points, or maybe they're on the insides of the points where the current face is hitting them. And you can see, wait a minute, that happened 5 different times today. And now you can much more easily pattern that throughout the lake.
And especially in non-tournament scenarios, whether you're practicing or just fun fishing or whatever, I'm of the belief there is no such thing as too much information on where you caught a fish, why you caught the fish, what you caught the fish off of. If you're trying to learn a new body of water, you just moved somewhere and you're trying to break down a lake, man, take freaking notes. You guys, you used to take notes on all your stuff. A lot of guys still do take notes. For me at the beginning of, the learning process, and I don't want to keep going back to the bay, but I'm also, I'm just sharing with some of the experiences I had with Humminbird and their mapping and their electronics. Man, I would write date, I would write size of fish, what I caught the fish on, as much information that I could fit in that little icon bar. If I wasn't pressed for time, I wanted to know absolutely all of that. Now, I don't do all that as much too is for detail, but there are times where I'll write out the date, what I caught it on, size of fish, all that stuff, because
early in your fishing and during your learning process, that stuff is painfully important.
Very,
later
very,
in your process,
important.
like if you fish multiple bodies of water over different parts of the country, is where really I've found it to be a big player. But even on places that you fish over and over again, to know, like in June, the first week of June, these waypoints or these patterns were prevalent. 5 years from now, you're going out in June, maybe you haven't fished for a while. You can look right back there and say, this was chatterbait or flipping patterns were the dominant patterns. But that's very, very important details. I still take notes. I recommend that everybody does keep a log, and the new systems, you can do it right on your units. But I still like to have that hand log or computer log that I use.
And if you're just getting into fishing, man, get this is not a sponsor. Well, it is a sponsor because they sponsor us, but man, get yourself even just a baseline Humminbird unit, like a baseline Humminbird Helix 5. The amount that you can learn about the body of water that you are fishing with just that unit it's incredible, and they're so user friendly. The mapping is so good. The waypoint management is excellent. Like, you can do so much with you don't have to go breaking the bank. Just get you something, and it's going to help your fishing, guaranteed.
It goes from Helix, Solix to Apex, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
and there's more. There's Onyx. And
most all the technology that is available on the higher end units are available on the beginner units too. So you can access all this stuff. Which I think is key.
Yeah.
We have a lot of stuff to give away.
A lot of stuff to go on.
Rambling
on. Good to listen to you guys. But while Jocelyn's getting the like and share winner, I'm going to roll through my Rapala fantasy fishing picks for Champlain, just because. Pete, you're going to be out of the office next week, so this lineup is just stacked, and I want to let everybody know I am in the 98.3 percentile for fantasy fishing.
Nice.
But anyway, Group A, we're going with.
Where's Jocelyn?
I don't know. Where are you, Pete? Behind me. That's all I know.
I'm 13 points back and charging. I am on the uptick, Junior. You better have some good picks this week, because I'm coming for you.
I'm gonna pick this week just so I can say I beat Rich.
Group A, I'm going with J Dog, coming off a hot win on St. Clair.
Man, that's a solid pick.
Man. Going with J Dog in Group A. Group B, Fajita. I got Koyoyo Fajita in Group B.
Jocelyn's bragging about
he's in Group B.
Yep.
Going into Champlain.
So I got J and Koyoyo.
Jocelyn's bragging about she's in the 30 percentile.
30.9.
30.9.
Group C.
Strong.
Going another guy who's won on Champlain, Brian Schmidt in Group C.
D,
Group D, I'm going with Bryant Smith, who had a good event there last year. And Group B, going with New Jersey's own Michael Iconelli. Don't let me down, Ike.
Michael Iconelli.
Pounds and ounces, I'm going 84.
Pounds, baby, pounds.
84 pounds, 12 ounces. And one of these guys in my buckets here will win 100%.
Who is in your Group B?
Koyoyo Fujita.
You're 98 point what?
98.3.
Oh.
What are you?
98.2.
Oh.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah.
All right.
We're bringing it, man.
So let's hit the sub of the week real quick. Sub of the week is Matt O'Connell. He's actually an absolute hammer in the Toyotas and BFLs and stuff. And
who was it?
Bash you hat. Matt O'Connell.
Nice.
So I think he just won the BFL on Lanier not too long ago.
Where's that fish from? Do you know?
Don't know. No location. I'm guessing Hartwell.
It's not a spot.
Nope.
Looking good.
So shout out to Matt and like and share winner.
Brian D. Masso.
Brian, reach out to the Dean's office at bashuniversity.com.
Thanks for watching, Brian.
Grand prize question. We didn't have a commercial and 2-part show, but I don't have a grand prize question, right? Give me 30 seconds to think this off. We've been off for a couple weeks. I forgot about that part.
I sent Justin, because it was funny. I said, how many seconds between each chirp? And it was 25.57 seconds. I timed it.
We have to send a. Did you get a text sent over to the Palaniuk's house? I thought for sure that was happening in here.
I know. Pete
I'm like,
texted us
why
and was
aren't
like,
you
turn
guys?
it off.
Why isn't somebody taking control of this and getting this beep off the air, man? It in my headset, it sounded like it's
Like
coming
right here,
right
yeah.
down that hall.
All right. Grand prize question: what color does Brandon use on his Humminbird units for his juice spots?
I remember that.
I don't.
I remember something else.
Well, he mentioned it briefly in his coloring.
All right.
Are you saying I did something?
Oh,
they got it right. Chuck plus fish. Purple. Purple is when he's that do it wrong.
Big ones. That's
Yeah.
the biggest size.
It
works.
That's what he said.
No, that's the size of the fish.
Yeah.
Well, they all got it.
They're juice
They
fish.
got it. They're juices. They're juicy ones.
All
They're
right.
juicy.
They're the juice.
That's what you got to do. You got to keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm trying.
Think fast, not
Well,
slow.
it's a great prize. A bunch of VMC stuff great for summertime fishing. I see the tool that you use for wacky rigging.
Love that. Love those crossover rings, man.
That's a big deal this time of year. Nico rig, Senko rig. It's a terrific little tool. Not to mention, I see some sinker stops. I see some weights, some flipping style stuff. There's some good stuff there.
Yep.
Hopefully, we'll be using that stuff.
All right, I got my lineup set for Champlain.
Wait, you weren't supposed to do it. That's how I'm gonna beat you.
I'm saved. I got Lee Livesey, Brandon Palaniuk, Brian Schmidt, Seth Fighter, and John Cruz. Let's go, boys.
You know what's going to be interesting about Seth is, he said famously to me during the tournament, I'm done fishing for largemouth.
Yeah,
you just can't do any good with largemouth here anymore.
25 pounds of largemouth last weekend.
Pounds, baby,
pounds. He said that live
I know.
on the elite tournament.
25 pounds of greenheads won on Champlain.
And one down at Ticonderoga, which is very common for that to happen. So we'll see how many guys go to tie. We were also talking with some of the guys at the at iCast, and they were saying that last year nobody went to tie.
Nope.
So
hopefully some guys go make it. My boy Hackney's going to head down a tie and flip a jig around and sneak in the top 10. Why not?
Why not?
He's a pretty good scoper.
I'm going to take a little time and pick my picks.
Yeah, take your time, Pete.
So because I'm going to have to put Junior down.
Well, the best
down
part
into the
now
dirt.
is you really can't copy my picks because you need the gain on me, and I just picked first.
I could copy your picks and wait until Thousand Islands to beat you.
You could, but that doesn't leave much room for error, Pete.
I'm going to do what I do, man. I'm going to pick Kyle Patrick until the cows come home because he's going to keep scoring big for me, and we'll let the rest figure itself out.
New York guy too.
Guys, get subscribed to Bass U. You have to because J-Dog, we love him so much as an instructor, but Jay Shakurit is seminar on the Demiki style fishing
tomorrow
pattern is dropping tomorrow. You got to see it.
Just one on it.
It's the way to be so consistent to catch fish, and he lets it all out. His system is so effective and simplistic that you're going to be able to incorporate it into your fishing right away. Bless you. And so you got to go check that out. That's dropping on Wednesday. Plus, we got an awesome Bass U sun hoodie that's part of the annual subscriber package. So come on board if you haven't done it. It's a great time to study. It's back to school time. It's almost back to school time, guys. Summertime fishing is awesome. I love it so much. I look forward to hopefully seeing a lot of you guys down at Chickamauga next week at the high school BASS National Championship. Make sure you stop by and see us down there. If you're down there, be down there with Jake and Max, and we're going to be trying to do our best. We're going to be using our brand new Lake Master mapping that we're
VX Premium.
We got the VX Premium, and we're going to be loading it up and doing map study all the rest of this week. So thanks so much for watching, hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week. I will be live, by the way. I'm going to be checking in from Lake Chickamauga with the boys. So
all right.
We'll be live next week, and we'll see you then on Bass University Live. Have a great day, everybody.
Welcome to Minnow King. How can I help you?
Everything looks good. I'm friggin' starving, man. Been spawning all morning.
Ugh, TMI, bro. What do you want?
I'll take a Crush City freeloader and gizzard shad.
Anything to drink.
Water.
Pull ahead, please. Welcome to Minnow King.
We're gonna have what he's having. Yeah, throw me in a Ned BLT too.
Pull ahead, please.
Calm down. Quit feeding him so much.
Hey, man, I'm trying to, man.
If you overfeed him, he's going to hide under a log.
Right here, Aquaview, mandatory equipment in my boat. I say it all the time. The smallmouths hide in the cracks in the rocks, and just saw a little bit of the same kind of rock with the cracks in it. And I realized that I had to put a bait down there. You wouldn't, idle over them and see them on your screen. You had to put a bait down there and suck them out of the rock. So, Aquaview, big assist on this one.
And outdoors, Bassmaster Classic champion, Jeff.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina. From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick, every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Wormman series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water